my name's Eva and welcome to this channel. Today I am talking all about sex research, my thesis, which is on sexting, all of that sort of stuff. I haven't made an updated Q&A about this stuff in about 6 or 7 months, and I feel like a lot has changed on this channel, or if you are new to my content, I wanted to make this kind of introduction because sex research is a big part of my life. Before I get into some questions, I do want to just go over some quick basics about who I am and where I'm currently at in my journey with sex research. I'm a second-year master's student. Right now, my program isn't officially in psychology, but that is where the majority of my research is. The conferences that I go to mainly focus on the psychology of human sexuality. Being in the second year of my master's means that I'm currently working on, or starting to analyze all of my data. My plan is to defend and to graduate in the middle or the end of the summer. So your girl has to analyze all her data and write up her whole thesis. Now that I've gotten those basics out of the way, let's jump into some questions that you guys sent on Instagram and Twitter. And the first one I'm going to be answering is, what is your favorite part about studying sexuality? And my favorite part about getting to study sexuality is that, so you get to look at social issues, how the power structures that exist, really unfun stuff like white supremacy and patriarchy and our cis heteronormative society, get to really work with those like important complex issues, but in the context of something that is all about joy and connection and intimacy, which is sexuality. So I find it really empowering and motivating to learn more and produce knowledge that was generated with the community, for these groups that are often left out of traditional sex ed or sex research or our mainstream depictions of sexuality. Just having the knowledge about our like life experiences and able to like make sense of that is a form of justice. So I think it's really awesome to be able to generate that knowledge because it helps people feel less alone, helps them feel empowered, and you can also create resources and policy and all that type of stuff. So it's a way of, you know, doing social justice, but that's about something that's fun and joyful and wonderful as sexuality. Short answer. After that little rant, the second question is, what's my thesis? What do you mean you're studying sexting? I'm looking at young adult sexting, so that is between ages of 18 and 29. The women in our sample, we've included cis and trans women, individuals who identify as non-binary, and women looking at their sexting and whether or not how often someone sexts is at all related to their sexual communication and sexual pleasure. And hopefully queer women.
Could be gayer. So
this will depend on my data set and whether or not I have enough participants who are queer to compare. There has been some hints that I might have enough bisexual participants to compare, which would be super exciting. So we'll see how that goes. Another question that I got asked about my thesis is, am I looking at people's motivations for sexting? Which is a super interesting question that I am not looking at. We do have that question in the questionnaire for the data set that I'm using for my thesis, and I have looked at that a little bit, so I can give you some insider scoop. Please don't quote me on this. This is just from my own analyses of this data set, which has not been published. But so far, from looking at everybody ages 18 to 80, found that there are 3 top motivations for sexting: to spice up a current relationship, to tease someone sexually, and then to communicate your desires, which is pretty cool. Next question is, are there any really bogus ideas or hypotheses that researchers have about sexting that I want to debunk with my thesis? And yes, oh my goodness. It's actually really challenging to go through the sexting literature because there is so much slut shaming and describing sexting as this like big scary thing. And also there's so much painting that like the onus is on often cisgender girls and women to not sext and to like manage their negative experiences of sexting, and that like it's their fault if they've had a negative experience. You'd think that sex research wouldn't have all of this, but we do, which is part of the reason my research is looking at some positive outcome variables like sexual communication and sexual pleasure. Who would have thought if so many people are sexting and they keep doing it, maybe there's positive things about it. The last question I'm going to answer is one that I've gotten a couple times, and that is, if you are a person who's in your undergrad and you're really interested in sexuality and you want to explore that more or explore sex research, how the heck do you do that? So I have a couple tips for you. The first thing is that if you want to explore sex research, see if there are sex researchers at your university or at universities near you, and shoot them an email. And when I was in my beginning of my third year, end of my second year, there wasn't anybody at my university doing sex research, so I emailed so many people in universities across Ontario being like, hi, my name's Eva. I really want to do sex research. Let's be friends, basically. And I got some replies, but that was a really good experience for me because sex researchers in general and researchers in general are really just excited to talk to anyone who is passionate about the topic that they're studying. Of course, you can also take a course on human sexuality, and you can also get involved in other ways, like on campus. If there's a health center or a feminist group, you'll likely find like-minded people and have opportunities to do sexuality education and advocacy that way. That is all for this little Q&A all about sex research and my thesis in grad school and all of that stuff. If you have other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, or you can DM them to me on my Instagram or send them to me on Twitter. But yeah, that's all for me today. Subscribe if you aren't already, like this video. Have a lovely day. I would love to continue in academia and become, you know, a professor. If they let me in after they know about these videos. Maybe looking at bi women, because, you know, a little bit biased.